Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll look at how to add reverb, delay, and chorus on the BR1600. The BR1600 has 6 types of effects built in. These are the insert effects, which include the COSM guitar effects and amp simulations, as well as effects specifically tailored for microphone, stereo, and multi-track inputs. The track effects, which are the dedicated track compressors and EQs. The vocal toolbox, which is used for tuning vocals and creating vocal harmonies. The mastering toolkit for taking a stereo mix of a song and adding the finishing touches. Speaker modeling, which is used along with a set of digital monitors to emulate the characteristics of various types and sizes of studio monitors and output speakers. And the loop effects for creating spatial effects that include reverb, delay, and chorus. And this is what we'll be looking at today. The loop effects create an internal send and return loop in which a portion of the signal is sent to the effect and then returned at the output stage. Loop effects differ from insert effects in that insert effects send 100% of the signal from one mono or stereo track or input directly to the effect, much like using an inline guitar effects pedal. Loop effects, however, allow you to send just a portion of a signal from multiple tracks all at the same time, resulting in them having varying degrees of the effect applied. The loop effects are accessed from the 2 dedicated loop effects buttons. These cover the 4 different types of effects available: reverb, chorus, delay, and doubling. There are 2 dedicated loops available, so you can only use one chorus, delay, or doubling effect along with the reverb at any one time. To be able to use more effects on more tracks, you can bounce a track down with the effect to another V track, which then frees it up to be used by another track. If you've seen my video covering V tracks, this is exactly how I use it on the individual V track buses, adding the effect when the tracks are bounced down to their destination V tracks. As long as you keep the original source track, you can always go back and adjust the effect and redo the bounce if you need to, or remove the effect altogether. This also means that you can apply different types of effects and settings across your entire song and not be limited to just one type or setting. Let's look at each effect in more detail. Reverb is accessed via the dedicated button under the Channel Edit section. By default, this brings up the Track Send screen for applying the effect to recorded tracks. It's very common practice to crank up the reverb for a vocalist when recording, as it often helps to get the best performance. To add it to an input source, you press the left arrow button. This brings up the Input Send screen. The number of controls will vary depending on which input source is selected. Guitar, vocal, and stereo sources will show a single control, while simultaneous will show 1 or 2 depending on if you are recording to a mono or stereo track. Multitrack will have 8. Use the cursor to highlight the input source you want to add the reverb to, and use either the time value wheel or value dial 1 to adjust the amount to send to the effect. This can be done in real time while the signal is being input or played, so you can hear the effect as you adjust it.
My fear is lost, and I can't feel. Eyes fade to black. This time it's real.
With a setting of 0, no signal is sent through to the effect, while at 100, the maximum amount of reverb is applied. You can use the F3 and F4 buttons to switch between selecting 0 and 100. Press the F2 button to go to the edit screen to adjust the settings for the effect. There are 3 types of reverb available: room, hall, and plate. You can adjust the type, time, pre-delay, and tone from this screen. You can use the value dials below each option to quickly dial in the settings. You can also use the time value wheel if the option is highlighted. Pressing the right arrow takes you to the second page of options where you have density, a high frequency damp control, and a low cut filter.
My fear is lost, and I can't feel. Eyes fade to black. This time it's real.
Reset the effect to its default settings at any time by pressing F4. Chorus, delay and doubling is accessed from the button to the left of the reverb and works in exactly the same way. The default screen is for applying the effect to recorded tracks. You can use the track buttons to select the destination for the effect when you are adding it to recorded tracks. Pressing the left arrow button allows you to add it to an input signal. If you press a track button while you are on the input screen, it will switch you back to the track screen, so you need to use the cursor to change between the inputs. Use the cursor and time value wheel to select the effect type or value dial 1 and choose between the three different options. You can only choose to use one of the three effects at any one time. The chorus options include settings for pre-delay, rate, and depth, as well as a low-cut filter.
Eyes fade to black. This time it's real. Can't break the line that pulls me in. Can't take the pain.
Delay has settings for time, feedback, and a high-frequency damp control.
Am I awake? Or have I won? Don't seem to care of the tears in my arm. Here I lay cold.
It also has an option for sending just the delayed signal to the reverb. To use the doubling effect, you first need to pan the track either hard left or hard right. Doubling will have no effect if the track is panned to the center. The doubled signal is very slightly delayed and then automatically panned to the opposite side. Adjust the effect using the delay time option and level control, with 100 being the same volume as the source track. Any loop effects applied to an input signal will not be recorded to the track, as the signal is returned at the output stage of the recorder. After recording, all the settings from the input sends are automatically copied to the corresponding tracks. We'll apply reverb to this vocal track and record it.
My fear is lost.
Adjust the reverb while you listen to the input.
Feel. Eyes fade to black. This time it's real. Can't break the line that pulls me in. Can't take the pain of my past sins. I can't take it anymore.
2 empty tracks for recording. If we check the reverb settings for the destination tracks, you can see that there is no reverb applied. Press 0 to rewind to the start of the song and press play and record.
My fear is lost, and I can't feel. Eyes fade to black. This time it's real.
Stop the recording and press 0 to hear the results.
My fear is lost.
You can hear the reverb sounds exactly as it was when we recorded it, and if we check, we can see that the reverb has now been applied to the tracks and all the settings from the input have been copied across. The loop effects will only become a permanent part of the track if it's bounced down along with the effects to another V track.
My fear is lost, and I can't feel. Eyes fade to black. This time it's real.
If we listen to the bounced track, you can hear that it has reverb added and can't be adjusted or removed from the reverb settings anymore, as it has been recorded to the track along with the original audio. Any changes you make to the effect settings are saved along with the song. The user manual points out that you can only save one set of effect settings per song. However, it is possible to have more if you use them with the scenes function. We'll take a look at how scenes work in another video. A common technique when recording spatial effects is to have them recorded on a separate track to the source. This opens up the possibility of being able to apply further processing such as compression, EQ, or even additional effects to just the reverb. As the reverb sent is taken after the track fader control, it is not possible to turn down the source audio and just record the effect on its own. There is, however, a way we can still do this. The send for the reverb is taken before the pan control. So even if the source is stereo, the signal is first reduced to mono before being sent to the effect. Once processed, it is then returned in stereo and combined with the original track at the output stage. We can take advantage of this routing and create a separate stereo reverb track from a recorded track.
My fear is lost, and I can't feel.
With the reverb applied, pan the track to the far left. Arm 2 free mono tracks for recording. Go into bounce mode and bounce the tracks down along with the reverb to the destination tracks.
My fear is lost, and I can't feel.
Arm 2 more free tracks and swap the pan control of the original track to the opposite side. Bounce the tracks down with the reverb applied.
My fear is lost, and I can't feel. Eyes fade to black. This time it's real.
You'll now have two sets of tracks, one with reverb only on the left and one with reverb only on the right. Use the track exchange function to swap either the left or right channels between the two pairs of tracks. You will find this in the utility menu under Track and Exchange. This will result in one stereo track with the original audio, which you can now delete, and one stereo track with just the reverb on its own and no source audio. Just be aware that if you use one of the stereo tracks 910 through 1516 as the destination, you won't be able to use track exchange as it won't allow you to swap out a single channel from within a stereo track. Here is how the new reverb track sounds created using the BR1600's onboard reverb.
Can't feel. Eyes fade to black. This time it's real. Can't break the line. Take the pain of my past sins. I can't take it anymore.
Unfortunately, the chorus and delay are taken after the pan control, so this method won't work for those effects. Well, that covers how to use the loop effects on the Boss BR1600. I hope you found it helpful. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.